Welcome to the show, guys. I am now with Bob, and for those of you that don't know, Bob actually created that on his drums behind us. How you feeling?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
Awesome. And look, thanks for joining us on the show. I've been actually really excited to get into this show because you are I'm not going to lie, you're the craziest guy I've ever had on the show.
I love it. Yeah, I just think I'm stupid, but I just keep going with it, see where it takes me.
So, for those of you that don't know, so your next major challenge is you want to cart your drum kit across 100 miles and then play a gig after that 100-mile run. Can you what made you think of doing? Is it just a random thought or?
Yeah, so it's kind of my mate's fault. So I'm gonna completely blame my mate Jack for this. But we were when lockdown hit, we were talking on Skype, and we were talking. I was basically saying, I was like, I've got like loads of time to train now because all my gigs are cancelled, everything was cancelled. So I was like, why don't I like sort of train running like mad, and then when lockdown's over, I'll run to a gig. And then as a laugh, he went, yeah, but it doesn't count unless you tow your drums. And I was like, oh yeah, brilliant. And then I kind of slept on the idea. I was just like, no, actually, that's a brilliant idea. What a great idea. It's stupid. I don't know anyone who's ever done anything like that before. It kind of like merges two things that I really enjoy doing. And I was just like, yeah. So I called him up like 2 days later and I was like, do you remember that stupid thing you said? He was like, yeah. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. He was like, oh yeah, you're a twat. What are you doing?
Now, what's been your training like going into this? Because I've kind of followed you on YouTube, and it looks like you are putting the mileage in your legs at the moment. So, what's been your training for that at the moment?
So it started with really heavy mileage to start with. So I've been training for almost a year now, and it pretty much started with just right. Let's up it because I've never run further than a marathon before. I'd done 2 marathons, and none of them any great time. I wasn't really a runner before everything lockdown. I was mainly I was into triathlon, but really loved swimming.
Right.
And that was like my main sort of like way into it. So it was like, right, okay, what do I need to do? So I spoke to a couple of people, and they were like, you just need time on your feet. So I just kind of learned to love running. So it was just right. Okay, well let's just take the idea of progressive overload, like most people use in the gym to up their squat, and instead of upping weight, we're going to up miles. So it was jump in, right? So should we work on monthly miles or weekly miles? And I decided weekly miles is probably a good way to go, and then pretty much just started chopping it into training blocks. So 3 weeks sort of build, 1 week recovery, 3 weeks build, 1 week recovery, and just kept going to the point where I was doing like 100-mile weeks, and then going mad. And then I kind of like accidentally fell in love with ultra running, and then some of these like challenges came about. So like halfway through, it's like okay, let's try one. So there was a thing called the November Challenge, which is basically every day you add a mile. So on the 1st of November, you run 1 mile. The 2nd, you run 2.
Oh,
then 3,
no.
all the way up
That's
to 31.
dangerous.
Yeah, all the way up to 31. So
no.
I did that, which was hilarious. The last week of it was like 170 miles or something. My shins were taped up. Like, yeah, it was.
Is that per day or per week?
Per day. So every day you add a mile.
Hang on. So you run 100? Did you say you 170 miles a day?
No, 170 miles in a week.
In a week. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is still bloody impressive. Yeah.
It's quite a few. Because the last week was like basically it was like 25 miles, then 26, and 27, and 28, and 29, and 30, and 31. So yeah, it was hefty.
Yeah, right. Okay. So I just want to kind of understand your training block. So do you kind of peak? You kind of have all this planned out, and you're peaking at a certain time? I'm guessing. Is that how it works, or?
Yes, kind of. So weirdly, I'm almost not really peaking for the actual 100-miler, because it's towing a drum kit. I just don't know how that's going to go. It's going to happen, and I'm going to finish it because I'm determined to do it. But I don't know how well it's going to go. So as far as that goes, it's all based on just miles. And then when it comes to it, if it takes me days, it takes me days. But also, I want to do it all as one. So there's no stopping. I don't want to do it over a week and then sleep in a hotel every night. I just want to start, and from when I start, I go
Finish.
until I finish. Other than like taking a crap in the woods.
Speaking of taking a crap, I sometimes go on a few runs here and there, and I'm not going to lie, I struggle. When nature calls. What is your strategy to what is it? Do you have any strategy towards when nature calls during a run, or is it just pants down and away it goes? Like what happens?
Hide.
Hide.
Yeah. There's not much. I generally run in the mornings and I don't eat breakfast. So usually it's wake up, coffee, hopefully get that done out of the way, go for a run. So that's usually the plan for that. But yeah, I think I've been pretty lucky. I've only had like 1 or 2 times where I've had to find a big tree and squat.
I had one occasion where this was actually in public. I'm going to embarrass myself now, but I went around a track, and I feel like when you run it's like a laxative effect, and it was just so bad that you have to just go by a tree or something and make sure nobody's watching, and it's just you can't walk. So it's a lovely experience.
It's great. I've had the other way a couple of times. I did one a couple of weeks ago where I had to get my car serviced, and it's the garage is about 20 miles away. So I drove to the garage, dropped my car off, then ran home, and then basically did like a day of work, and then ran back to pick it up. And when I did my day of work, I kind of got a little bit lost in the time and ended up having lunch really late. So then I went back out for the second run, and then 6 miles in, literally just threw up everywhere, all over this hedge, just outside this village near me. Just like repainted the hedges. And then I'm thinking like, I've still got 13 miles to go and get my car. I'm covered in sick. I've got to walk into the garage and be like, "Can my car?" And they're going to be like, "Why are you covered in sick?" So that was a fun one.
Jeez, that's intense.
It happens. Yeah, it was exciting.
And how long have you been playing music for? I can see the kit in the back there.
So I started playing drums when I was 7, just because my parents decided to buy me a drum kit for Christmas. I'm not sure why they did that. Apparently I said, I don't remember saying, but I just instantly fell in love with it. It was like, I tried guitar beforehand, and I think I tried a little bit of piano and was shit at both. And then, I got this drum kit and I just loved it. And that was it. I pretty much played it every day. I didn't necessarily practice every day, but I did play every day. And just went for it. Left school at 16 and was like, right, how can I make money doing this? And it was just a mix. Like, went to the closest city to me, which is Cardiff. It's about 2 hours away. Made friends with loads of musicians, set up some bands, and just kind of went for it. Lots of teaching and things like that. Lots of gigs, just booking it, always on the road. And it was just kind of like it was like quantity. Just do as much as I can, say yes to everything.
Wow.
Just became obsessed. It was great. And,
that's fantastic.
I got all this because of it.
And with your room in the back of your studio, so have you soundproofed? Because I know that's because of the noise level, it can be frustrating, it can be difficult to practice. So how have you what's your setup like at the moment?
Yeah, so I've got basically all the walls have like very thick curtains on them. Other than the back wall that you can see behind me, it's only half curtained. But the way they're set up is they're really thick, and they basically run from ceiling to floor, and then there's a slight gap between them, so you make like a little air barrier. So usually, like most studios, when they build them, they build a room within a room, and it's not
Right.
so much having two rooms that is the really good sound effect, like the sound dampening. It's actually the little gap of air between the two rooms that takes out a lot of the sound. So I've tried to recreate that without building a second room inside my house. So it works pretty well. And then the other thing is that my house is pretty far from other houses. Like, got a good sort of 75 meters until the closest house. So that's a bit enough clearance. And then just try to be nice. Don't play early on the weekends. Don't play too late at night.
Just be a
Maybe.
decent person. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, basically. And if they can play and talk to them and find out, and because the thing is, I can't just be a dick, because it's like they can just basically, you can do, if you get so many noise complaints, the police can start to actually take your stuff over here.
Sure.
So yeah, and also I want to be friends with my neighbours, because I live next to them. I don't want them throwing eggs at my house or something. But yeah, it's just try to be a good person about it, and see what you can do. But hopefully, I mean, what I play is quite good, so they enjoy listening to it. They might disagree.
Oh, fantastic! And you live in Swansea? Is it in UK?
So I don't live in Swansea. No. So I live in Pembrokeshire, which is right on the west coast of Wales.
Wales.
You probably think Swansea because where you saw me, the closest thing I could put in my address was Swansea. That's actually 200 miles away. It's just they don't recognise
Okay.
I'm in the middle of nowhere.
So it's a very remote area, and you said
the
100 miles to the next city, Cardiff.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. And who do you live with? Like, you living with family, or you're living by yourself? Or
So I'm living at home with my parents at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, very, very fortunate.
Yeah, because for those of you that are listening now, you've got a YouTube channel, and it's quite a remarkable YouTube channel. Actually, it's actually underrated. I highly recommend tuning into it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and one of the videos that stood out was your David Goggins challenge. That was a real. Actually, I think I think we were in communication before that. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to do the David Goggins challenge. And then next minute I see you put out this video. You're like, oh, dude, I'm going to just, go crazy. Well, talk me through that journey. Like, what was that like?
So yeah, that was it was good. I really liked it, but it was it was just it's just another one of those silly things. It was a silly idea. So I did the challenge last year.
Wait, just before, can I just give some context just for the people listening? So the David Goggins challenge is 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. But Bob flipped that on its head, right? So so what did you do? Sorry.
So I did 4 miles every 4 hours, 48 times. So 48 runs, which actually equates to 8 days. But that wasn't the initial idea. The initial idea was to do it for a week, and then the same mate. I should get rid of it.
The same mate.
Yeah,
bad mates. You've got.
I have
two
got bad mates. So the same mate. I spoke to him on the phone, and we were talking about it, and I said, "Oh yeah, I'm doing it. I said it's the 4x4x168 because I was like, how many hours it is?" And he goes, "How many runs is it?" And I was like, "Oh, it's 42 runs." And he goes, "Oh, so if you do another day, it's 48 runs." I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Well, you realise that's still a 4x4x48 then?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, it is, isn't it?" And he was like, "Well, you've got to do that now." I was like, oh, shit. And yeah, so okay, right, here we go. Reset, do another day. But I'd had the idea for ages because I did it last year. I did the 48 hours, and then I added an extra day. Just out of I did it, and then I finished it because I did slightly different times because it actually worked better for work. So I did 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and 6 o'clock, and then so I finished the final 6 a.m. run, and then basically I just felt really down for the next 3 hours afterwards. And I couldn't really figure out why. And I was like, yeah, I just feel a bit rubbish. So I just went, I'll just do it for another day then, see if that picks me up. So I just went for another day, did it for 3 days, and then just got talking with people, and yeah, they were like, oh, yeah, that's quite cool, and they were saying like, how long do you think you could do it for? I was like, oh, I reckon I could do it for a week. And this was back like last July, and then we kind of just like never spoke about it again. And then I was always thinking like, oh yeah, one day I'll just do it for a week, just for a laugh, see what happens. And then I saw the David Goggins post of like, oh, on the 5th of March, everybody does it together. And I was like, cool, right, there we go, perfect time to do it. So yeah, I'd already had it in mind. And then it just like, yeah, the time just struck. And then my mate forced me to do an extra day. So it was just 8 days of just repeating it. It's weird because it's like, I quite like it, like, because it's a bit chaotic. It's a bit mad when you're doing it, and it's like you're always checking your watch and you're trying to fit other stuff in, and you sat there and you fall asleep.
Do you feel alive? Is there a sense of being alive? Like you're actually, I don't know, the chaos.
Yeah. There's kind of that. Yeah, there's kind of just that sense of like you just, as you're doing it, you are kind of thinking like, this is just a bit mad. Like when you get back at like 2:30 in the morning from a run, and then you lie in bed and you're like, I can't sleep. I've just run 4 miles. What's going on? Like it's hilarious. And like on one of the runs, I saw a guy walking his dog at like 2:15 in the morning. And I'm thinking, what are you doing walking your dog? And then after the run, I was thinking, he's thinking the same thing about me. He's looking at me going, what is this twat doing running at 2:30 in the morning? And I was like, we had the same thought. Yeah, it's so stupid. He also scared the absolute shit out of me because I'm not expecting to see him at 2:15 in the morning. And he literally just appears out of this like street lamp. And my heart just dropped. I was like, I read a lot of Stephen King. And every Stephen King book I've ever read literally flooded into my head. I was like, oh, I'm going to die. Run faster.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. My route that I took, I actually passed a cemetery. Like I usually just ran the same route. And that was pretty, it was pretty cool. And, but I mean, I struggled. I probably struggled on the second, coming into the second day, my legs just felt so heavy. Like I had to walk it. I had to walk one of the runs. So,
it can get you because the thing is like everyone says about like the recovery, but you don't really recover that quickly. You haven't got enough time to recover. So yeah, it does. It just builds up on your legs. Like what I actually found is that like the second day is probably the hardest. So when I did it for 8 days, day 2 and 3 were definitely the hardest because your body starts to adapt after a while. So like when I go back and look at my times I was doing on day 3 are slower than I was doing on day 4. I think my fastest run was on like day 6. And it's just like you do eventually start to adapt. I'm starting to think that you could actually do it forever if you just figured out the lifestyle of it. And it's like, because like the tricks are like everything you eat has to be immediately after the run because you just get the most time to digest it as possible. You don't necessarily have to do every run as quick as possible. You could quite easily say like, right, this one's going to be as quick as possible and then I'm going to eat. The next one's going to be slow and easy so that I don't build up a massive heart rate and then I can't sleep. Yeah. So you could probably figure out a way to pretty much do it forever.
I'm a bit skeptical about the amount of sleep. Like I don't know how that plays because I guess if you eat, sleep, you're kind of accumulating some hours there. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, maybe you should try it next time. Maybe we'll see how.
Yeah, maybe. No. Yeah. After everything's done, we'll just see. We'll do it forever.
No. Goodness. Oh, that's crazy. And What was your routine like? So you mentioned that you ate were you eating as soon as you finished each run, or
not every run. So
not everyone.
Yeah, it would be. I would after the 10 o'clock run, it would be small snack. After the 2 o'clock run, like a meal, like almost like lunch. 6 o'clock run, snack. 10 p.m. big meal. And then sleep, don't eat through the night ones. That was pretty much it. Lots of coffee after the 6 a.m. run.
Yeah, I felt like because I did the nightly runs fasted, and then I struggled because I had no food in my system, and then once I had a big breakfast, then it kind of kicked me back into gear, sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So
I'm fortunate because I'm very used to running fasted because I always train fasted.
okay,
It's just how I prefer to train. So like even like long run day, like I'll happily think today, today's run was fasted. Just a bit of water and some coffee before I go, and yeah.
how much
And
do you
then
weigh?
I weigh. I should weigh 70 kilos, but I weigh 72 because last week after the challenge I had a very bad week and ate a lot of food because sleep deprivation. That was the horrible thing. Is sleep deprivation was killing me, and I was just like eating to get through the day. But yeah, I usually about 70 kilo, and then if I am going to do anything like competitive or go for like a PB or anything, I'll usually cut down to about 68 kilo.
Yeah, right. So I guess the philosophy is the lighter you weigh, the faster you can run. I guess that's the whole idea behind it.
Yeah, and I was because I used to weigh like 90 kilo a few years ago because I haven't always been in sport at all. It's only like the last like 3 years, and I did. So I used to run like 5Ks, and I think my fastest 5K was like 24 minutes. And then I stopped running because I was injured, but I started on MyFitnessPal counting calories, and I dropped 12 kilos whilst being injured. I came back, and my first 5K back, I set a PB.
Wow.
Just because I was 12 kilos lighter, it made such a difference. It was ridiculous. So yeah, maybe I should just stop eating for a week, and then I might be a bit quicker.
And regarding like runs, like when you go for let's say a half marathon or a marathon or a long distance, what's your strategy towards pacing yourself? Do you go out of the block straight away, or do you kind of taper off? And yeah, what's your strategy?
So it depends on the run. So I have a couple of things. So if it's long run day, it is basically everything is. I just ask myself basically every feasible change. So like a change could be whether I start going uphill, downhill, on the flat, whether it's the wind is behind my back, whether the wind's in front of me, whether it starts raining, stops raining, whatever like that. Any change, I just immediately ask myself, right, can I go forever at this pace? And if the answer is yes, all good. If the answer is no, I slow down. And that's basically for long run day. But my whole idea on long run day is just cover as many miles as possible and then also get as much elevation in as possible. Because the more elevation, the more I slow down, it equals more time on my feet. I think like if I run 20 miles and it's flat, I'm not going to be out for as long as if I do it hilly. So I actually think that I'm just trying to get the maximum out of that long run. So I just try and run up as many hills as I can. We've got quite a few around here, so that's quite good.
And what do you mean by elevation? Sorry.
So basically just how much climbing I do.
Okay.
So how many hills I run up. So I count all my elevation in feet. So like today I did 18 miles and I did about 1,500 feet of elevation.
Right. Okay.
And so that's like for me, like that's kind of like medium to high elevation. I can go like we've got like a few like there's a place called the Preseli Mountains over that way. I don't know what I'm pointing. That doesn't mean anything to you, does it? But yeah, so I can go up there and I can easily achieve like sort of like 3,500 feet of climbing. And those runs take me a long time, and I'm very sore after them. But I just think that really maximizes the time on feet. It's like I can get the most out of the run. And then also like with all the events I've got coming up, they're all in Wales, and Wales is a pretty hilly place, so they've all got a lot of hills. So the more hills I practice, the better. And then I also do some like I'll do like interval sessions and tempo runs, and they basically always have a mile warm up and a mile cool down.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. And I usually just for that mile just try and shake it out. I use that mile to think about what hurts, like how I can improve my form, things like that. And then I'll have like the odd recovery run, but I'm really bad at those because I go out thinking, yeah, this is meant to be a nice, easy one. And then
it's never an easy one.
Yeah, and then I put a song on, and I'm like, I wonder if I could do a sub 6 mile. Here we go. And then I ache. Yeah.
What type of music are you listening to?
Oh, it's a real mix. So it can go from stuff like Ludovico Einaudi, who's a classical pianist.
Wow.
And,
Okay.
yeah, or it can go to stuff like the band Avenged Sevenfold.
No.
Like kind of like new metal band, some like Slipknot sometimes.
That's it's pretty aggressive. I'm assuming it's an aggressive type of feel.
Yeah. Sometimes, or sometimes a bit of like Lionel Richie dancing on the ceiling. That does it.
Lionel Richie. Wow.
Fun. Yeah. A real and honestly anything because like my music taste is like so wide because I've loved it like since I was a kid. So I've got a huge range. So just whatever mood I'm in. Like Toto is a frequent one. Africa is often on. It's a super mix. Yeah. So whatever. And sometimes they're in the same playlist, which can be hilarious.
Would you say that these songs they kind of G you up and they turn a recovery run into a full on run? Like do they?
They can do, which is why like I try to avoid it as much as possible. I don't often listen to music as much. I'm usually just like podcasts, audiobooks, things like that.
See, I can't listen to podcasts while I'm running. It's just like I can't multitask. I can't listen to the words and focus on my running at the same time. I struggle. So kudos to you. Like that's. And I know that
you can get lost in it sometimes.
You can, yeah. I know Goggins swears that he doesn't listen to anything at all. Like he thinks listening to music is cheating in a way. So
I've heard that argument a lot, and my sort of like other arguments with it is that there's so many things that I want to do, and it's like my time. And I think like I really like reading. So a lot of the running has eaten into that time. Like you can't go and run for 5 hours a day and work and then sit down and read a book for 2 hours. You just don't have enough hours in the day. So if I can combine the two, I just think like, that's fine by me. But I will make sure that I do have a couple of runs where I don't have anything. Because I know that if I do any races or anything, like you can't have it. So like I did Ironman 2 years ago. And you're not allowed headphones on that. So that was 15 hours of pure silence.
Wow.
So it's like you need to get used to it. So that it's a good thing to do if you need to do it. But I think often the kind of like the cheating thing, it's hard because it's your time and you should do what you want with your time.
Yeah, I can see. I know that when I put my favorite song on, it does motivate me to kind of push out a little bit out of the tank. And you touched on the Ironman there. So is there any reason why they don't allow headphones on an Ironman, or it's just the rules?
It's safety.
Safety. Yeah. Okay. So that makes sense.
So most races that basically anywhere near a road, it's pretty much always safety reasons. You can't have it. And then it's quite hard to put your phone in your wetsuit when you swim in the sea to put the songs on, I guess.
Okay, so I'm just from what you've told me, I'm just trying to piece together your running career. So from going from someone with no experience, you've kind of run a few marathons, and then you ran an Ironman.
Right. Okay. So it basically started back in January 2018. That's when I first started running. Which was just like really easy, couple of 5Ks every now and then. And I said to my girlfriend at the time, I said, do you know what? One day I think I'd like to do a marathon. And she went, there's one in Tenby, which is about 30 minutes from me. She said, there's one in Tenby in 6 weeks. I'll sign you up. So she literally signed me up for the marathon in 6 weeks' time. I've been running for like 4 weeks at this point.
Wow.
so I went and did that. I ran the first 16 miles and then absolutely died and pretty much crawled the rest and felt horrendous. And then got to the end, everyone cheered, sprinted the last probably half mile. And that kind of triggered for me. I was like, wait, hold on. I thought I was dead 10 miles ago. But I'm sprinting now. And I always think of that. That's for me. Every time I struggle, I just go back to that. I'm like, well, yeah. And it's like it's the Goggins thing, isn't it? Like the 40% rule. And he's right. And I was like, oh, okay, right. So, and then I had a big slump after that. I fell back into old ways of not training, not doing anything. So I've realised that I have to have some sort of challenge. My dad had done Ironman twice before.
Okay, so it's in the genetics. It's in the family tree. Okay, it makes sense. It's making a bit more sense now.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, why don't I give Ironman a try? So I did that. My training wasn't great. It took me 15 and a half hours, I think, to do it. And yeah, it was like it was the best. Like my training wasn't wonderful. My swim was really good because I've always been a really strong swimmer. Because I learned just from such a young age. My parents were just like, go on, in the pool, go on, off you go. So I learned to swim quite well. And but my bike was terrible. And so did that. And I was like, okay, that was quite good. And then I kind of got a little bit into it. And I was like, right, okay. So I signed up for the next year, which would have been last year.
Yeah.
And was starting to actually like train quite a bit for it. And then everything lockdown happened. And then the 100-mile idea came up, and then from there it was like, right, okay, and yeah, now I'm just obsessed, just like absolutely obsessed.
No, that's fantastic, dude. Like it's really awesome. Like seeing you're an inspiration. Like you're like watching your YouTube videos. Like I'm not gonna lie, there's a little bit of jealousy. I'm like, oh, but then it kind of like, hang on, Kristian, it's like, you gotta stay motivated, and you're the type of person to kind of you're a trailblazer. Like you're setting the pace, you're setting the standard, and it's good to see people like you out in social media. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I think that thing about like what you said is like you always do that, and you always look up, because I know that I've had a couple of friends say to me, they're like, oh, I wish I was as quick as you, and I literally get my phone out, I get on Strava, and I show them this guy called Tom Evans, who's an ultra runner from the UK. And the other day, I set a PB. I think it was a 10K PB, and I was really happy with it. And I was looking at it on Strava, and then Strava updated, and it dropped down Tom Evans, and he did a 2.5 hour marathon. And I was just like, okay, yeah, fine, whatever. There's always someone better. There's always someone better.
I think it's really a humbling idea to really conceive, because there's levels to this reality. It's like once you feel like that's why it's always good to just stay humble and just stay in your own lane, I guess, to a certain degree, because there's always someone that's a step ahead of you, and
I think there is always someone who's a step ahead of you, and there is probably some crazy guy somewhere that we've never heard of because he's not on social media, and he probably runs like 80 miles a day. He's probably in some small little place, and he's just like absolutely going for it, and he doesn't care what anyone thinks, but he's going for it. And one day you're probably thinking like, oh yeah, I'm amazing, I've done all this stuff, and then you meet him and he just blasts past you up a hill, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe not. So I think it's always just good to focus on you as well, isn't it? And take inspiration from other people, rather than that sort of like competition is really good, but it's like not negative competition where you're just like angry at yourself. Yeah.
If that guy exists, I'm going to put a bet that he lives in Russia somewhere, probably Kazakhstan, probably.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I wasn't sure if I should say, but yeah.
I'm guessing somewhere in those regions. I don't know. Just I don't know if you follow UFC or MMA, but those guys there are bred. They seem to be bred differently to normal society. They're not normal human beings.
Yeah, I've seen that. There's that video of like Khabib like fighting a bear at like age like 8 or something, isn't there? Yeah, it's like
ridiculous.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. They know what they're doing, don't they?
Yeah, and you touched on books. You listened to podcasts and books. What books are you listening to, or any recommendations you have at the moment?
So at the moment I'm listening to Salem's Lot by Stephen King, which is like kind of like the fiction side, and then I'm also reading Rich Dad Poor Dad at the moment.
Right, okay,
Which is that's really good. That's Robert Kiyosaki, I think. That's really good. Loads of stuff. There's Stephen Fry. He's got a few books called one's called Mythos. It's all about like the ancient Greek gods and things like that. And then just a real mix of stuff. Some of Gary Vee's books. They're pretty good. 4 Hour Work Week, Tim Ferriss. That's really good. That's quite hard to achieve when you're running a lot of miles. You can't squeeze all those.
I think it's bullshit. I think it's just a clickbait sort of title. I don't know.
I
don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's possible, or?
I think I think it depends on your industry, doesn't it? It's like if you're in an industry where there's lots of like menial tasks that can easily be like sent off and delegated to people, it probably is possible. But like you can't, like if you make guitars for a living, you can't do that, can you? Because
that's right.
It's all. I don't know. I think it depends what you do. Like there's lots of things over the internet that obviously like create lots of like lots of people can come up with really great ideas on the internet that actually once they put in the brunt of the work, they can make like that passive income sort of side of things. But yeah, it's just I like to just keep up on as much stuff as like that as possible because it's all interesting. You might find a really good nugget in there that actually helps you with something else you're doing. Like I know I follow a drummer called Tommy Igoe, and he's a really good drummer from California. And he always posted about drumming, which is why I follow him. But like some of those things, I read what he says, and I don't really apply it to drums, but I apply it to the running side of things. And I think like, actually that kind of works. It's just about the way he said about like work ethic and things like that. And a lot of what he talks about is doing like small things on the side that aren't directly running. So he would say like that aren't directly drumming. So his thing is about being more of a musician than a drummer. So he will learn to play piano a little bit so he can understand form of songs and things like that. And he uses that knowledge to help him when he plays drums. And the way I think about that is like, I should stretch more. Because it's one of those things that it's like it really helps, but it's kind of indirect. And that's what I really struggle with. Like I've always struggled with the stretching side of things. Like I've got an alarm on my phone that goes off at 8:30 every night, and it just says "time to stretch, bitch." And it's just to remind me that I should stretch. Sometimes I ignore it. Most of the time I ignore it. But it does help, and little things like that. And the food side of it, it's like sometimes like when you I've run put a lot of miles in, burnt a lot of calories. I look at those calories on MyFitnessPal and think like, well, I could eat something that's really good for me, or I could eat a massive chocolate bar. And it's like one's going to help more than the other is, and it digs into things like that.
But I've heard that I've heard the CrossFit guys they actually load up their body with all these chocolate bars and saturated Gatorade drinks and all these things. There's actually a bit of science behind it,
Because there's the CrossFit guy, I can't remember what his name is, but his nutrition plan was basically 2 Snickers bars after every workout.
Matt Fraser. I was listening to him on the Joe Rogan podcast. Actually,
that's where I would have heard it.
Which is quite interesting.
He's like, "What do you do?" He's like, "I just eat 2 Snickers bars." It's like, okay, and I think I think in that situation it does work. It can be really good. I use chocolate milk. That's one that I use a lot after a run, just 1 glass of that, then water, banana, something like that. It just gets that kind of sugar kick into the muscles.
The sugar kick, yeah.
But it's later on. It's if you're on a rest day and you're thinking oh yeah, I've got all these calories left over from the week, and then you eat a pot of ice cream. That's when it's not great.
And are you tracking your calories?
Yeah, every day.
Yeah, every day. And okay, so what's the reason for tracking your calories?
So I I track my calories because the first time I started doing it was just to lose weight, and I lost like over 20 kilos on it. I got down from 90 to 68, which I was really happy with. But like for me, it just works. I just know. Like I'm not very. I have like quite good, like I'm quite driven, but I don't have great self control. That's
Right.
like weird. So like I'm the worst person ever to like if I'm like really hungry, I could easily just like go to the local shop and buy a load of crap that I just don't need to eat, and just consume it all in like an hour, and just easily because I can just absolutely smash through food. But having that number there just like stops me because I can just look at it and I can just like.
So it's like a control mechanism in a way.
Yeah, it's like accountability, and
accountability.
The thing is, like, it doesn't really bother me because it's like a kind of like checking mechanism. I just go like, I really want this, can I have it? Enter details, and I'll be like, no, I can't. Okay, I won't have it then. And it just allows me to do that. Like, I know some people say like you can get like quite obsessed with it, but it doesn't. It's not like I look at it and go like I can't have it, and then like completely throw a wobbly and. Damn it, like get really annoyed.
Yeah, it's not really a big deal.
Yeah, I just accept it and I just know. But it also allows me times when I can treat myself because sometimes I've looked at it and I've gone like, oh yeah, I'd quite like something. Can I have one of those? And go like, oh, actually, yeah, I probably could have that. But it just means that I just rein myself in. I don't just go because it's so easy. It's like once you start. It's so easy to just go mad and just be like, all right, yeah, I've had 4 pints of beer and I've had a bar of chocolate bar, a packet of crisps, and I sat and watched the film, and it can easily escalate. Whereas if you just track it and it's just like, okay, cool, well that's where the limit is. We stop there.
And so you're recording everything, I'm guessing, in an app or something?
Yeah, so I use MyFitnessPal.
Okay.
Which is made by like Under Armour, I think.
Is that the one you can scan? I think you can scan the food.
You can scan everything. Yeah. Okay. It's amazing. You like I can't believe how much stuff is on there. You find the most obscure products and you like scan the barcode and it's got like all the details. It's just, like how? Who are these people scanning these foods?
Right.
Putting the details in. It's amazing. But yeah, it's that's the thing. It's so quick. It would take me seconds, and you can put recipes in. So like I do a lot of my food in advance. So I have I just buy in bulk, and then I make about 40 to 45 meals in one go, and then just freeze them all. And then every morning I just get a meal out and just defrost it, and then cook it as soon as I get back from my run. So I don't have to keep cooking and washing up because I'm lazy.
And what is your day-to-day diet look like? Like the average diet for you?
So it's usually I basically have like in these meals there's like one portion of meat, so like often like mince meat or sort of like chicken breast, and then that will be with either rice or pasta, and then it would be like steamed vegetables, so like broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, peppers, onions, things like that. And then it's basically it's usually about 250 to 300 grams of the meat. About 100 grams of either rice or pasta, and then basically as much veg as I can cram into the pot.
Do you ever drink mulled wine with your meals? And mince pies by any chance?
I try not to because I hate mince. No, I love mince pies. I hate mulled wine. Yeah, that was another stupid idea.
So for those of you that are listening now, Bob, you did another challenge. So what was the challenge you had to do?
So I ran a marathon on Christmas Day, and so there's a loop near me. Well, it's not a loop; it's like an out and back. But if I do it, it's exactly a fifth of a marathon.
Okay.
So what I did is at the start, I basically had to run a marathon, and all I was allowed to eat was mince pies to fuel, and all I was allowed to drink was mulled wine. So I started the marathon by eating a mince pie and then drinking a glass of mulled wine, and then I ran the first lap. And then every time I got back, I had to eat another mince pie and drink some more mulled wine. And I ate a whole packet of mince pies and drunk an entire bottle of mulled wine before 9:30 in the morning.
Jesus.
And then
Wow.
had a pretty rough Christmas day.
How did the head feel? Like, were you kind of a little bit drunk while you were running, or how did that go?
Not really, because like mulled wine's like not super strong,
Right.
and then also like when you heated it, like when I heated it, I might have cheated a little bit and kind of burnt a bit of the alcohol off. But the worst thing was the because the mulled wine was hot, like we didn't let it cool down, so it was just like the suit. You just had this horrible sick feeling for the first mile of every lap. And it was just like this horrible. It was almost like heartburn.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it was pretty hideous. However, I somehow managed a PB.
No.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how. I did it in 3 hours 14, and Christmas miracle. I'm putting that down too. But yeah, it was a stupid idea. I don't even know how I came up with it. I can't remember. It was another one of those stupid things where I said it to someone and I went, yeah, I'm going to do it. It's quite often that if I say something stupid, I will then, in a couple of weeks, just go and do it for no reason.
What's the craziest thing, in your opinion, that you've done?
It's at the moment, it's probably the 4x4x48 for 8 days. Yeah, probably. I would say by July it's going to be towing a drum kit 100 miles.
Okay, so why is that more difficult than the David Goggins challenge?
I don't know yet
You have to find. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
is
I
it
have to
maybe
find
the
out.
weight? How much does the drum? How much does the drum weigh as well?
So the drum kit weighs 95 kilo.
What? 95 kilos?
Yeah, they're not light. And then
Jesus.
also, so I have like, so basically a lot of it is like the hardware. So you can see like here, it's not actually this kit I'm taking. There's a third one there, which is lighter. If I took this one weighs like 130 or something stupid. But the hardware, because I always chuck it in a box now, I bought the most sturdy, like heavy duty hardware I possibly could. So all of the stands are stupidly heavy. And the idea is I have to take every single thing that I need, bar my bandmates. I'm not carrying those. So yeah, it's absolutely everything. So all the stands, all the drums, sticks, my in-ears, and yeah, basically that's pretty much everything. And then the trolley that it's going on weighs 65 kilograms. So yeah, in total it's about 150 kilo that I'm towing behind me.
So is that on wheels or?
Yeah.
I'm assuming you can't do it any. Like, how would you do that 100 miles? Like, that's a impressive feat. Yeah.
It's gonna be mental. So basically, I'm gonna it's on one of the like dolly trolley things. So it's like a flatbed trolley with 4 wheels, and then it's got a handle on it. And I'm gonna basically pretty much like weld a harness to the handle, and then wear the harness so that it's like constantly in contact with me. But then I'm also like free to run because I don't want to be like actually holding it because I think I'll rip my shoulder off.
And what can you see any obstacles that you may come up against doing this challenge? Potential obstacles?
Downhills.
Downhills.
Mainly. That's what I'm most worried about. Lots of people have said it's going to be horrible towing it uphill. And I think, yeah, it will. It will be really hard towing it uphill. But I think it'll be really dangerous going downhill. That's my biggest worry.
Right.
I think, yeah, just it running me over because it weighs almost double what I do.
That's wow, shit. That's Okay. Have you taken any test runs yet, or
not yet? So the trolley is due to arrive in about 10 to 14 days. So it's been actually quite difficult to find a way to tow it. So the whole idea was like came up with everything, put everything out, and then was kind of like, oh, I actually don't know how to tow this thing yet. So I had to come up with an idea and figure it out, and then finally figured it out. And I've ordered this trolley, which is coming, which is being made by a company called Handle It, who are down in the south of England, and they're making it for me and delivering it here. And yeah, it should be here in about 10 to 14 days, and then it's going to be lots of trial runs and see how we go. Because I don't know how long it's going to take yet. Closest estimate we think is somewhere between 40 and 50 hours. We reckon.
To actually run the whole 40 and 50 hours. Is that what you,
yeah. To actually,
okay.
From start to finish, we think about 40 to 50 hours.
Okay.
Because I don't know how fast I can run towing it.
Yeah, right.
Because obviously, because it's on 4 wheels, I'm not gonna on the flat. I'm not gonna be taking the brunt of the weight. Like, it's not going to be bearing down on me. So hopefully, I'll be able to build up. Not like any like great speed, but I'll be at least shifting it all right on the flat. Uphills are going to be slow. Downhills are probably going to be slow just to keep it safe. And yeah, so it's all kind of a bit unknown, but it's just kind of got to go for it. But like, people have done marathons towing cars. There's a guy called Ross Edgley. Do you know who he is?
Oh, he's from UK, isn't he as well? Yeah.
He's from UK. So
he's mental.
He's wicked. He's so cool. So he's done a marathon towing a car.
Wow.
Which is cool. So he towed like a mini. Which, like, they sound like they're small, but they're actually like they're built like tanks, so they weigh a ridiculous amount. So
was he running it or walking it?
He ran it. Well, I don't know actually. I don't know how fast he went to whether it was classified.
That's it, because how would you? That's a lot of weight to kind of keep that momentum going for such a long time. Like, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, like if I'm really slow, does it count as I ran it, or did I walk it? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't think it matters with an ultra, because everyone accepts that they have to walk on an ultra. So yeah.
How many ultras have you completed?
0. Officially.
Oh, officially, okay.
Yeah, because I've only started ultra running since lockdown. So there hasn't actually been any races. I'm signed up for 7 this year. One has been postponed so far, but I'm fingers crossed for the rest of them. Okay. But I've done like a 50 miler. I've done 40, 45, 40. I did back-to-back weeks where I did a 45 miler one week and then a 50 miler the next week. Wow. Done some pretty heavy mileage. Done like back-to-back stuff. Like the when I did the David Goggins thing, that ended up being 192 miles over the 8 days. Wow. I think like distance-wise, I think if I had to run 100 miles tomorrow, I think I could do it. I think it would be a shock when you tell me in the morning, but yeah, I think I could do it.
Yeah. What's the most miles you've run in a day?
So at the moment it's 50 miles.
50 miles.
Yeah, I did that in about 7.
Do you know how many K? I think that's about what, 60, 70 odd Ks, I think. I'm not sure.
So 100K is 62 miles.
Okay.
So what's that? It's 12 miles less. It's about half marathon. Yeah, so it's about 79 kilometers. 79 Ks. Okay. So the 100 miles, because it's not actually 100 miles, it's a bit more. It's 113 miles. That kind of doesn't ring as a catchy headline, does it? So it's probably about 180K. I think that'll be.
And what generally goes through your mind when you're running these runs? I know it's a open question, but what? Yeah.
Yeah, a kind of different things. Sometimes, like that kind of like, I love this, I hate this, I love this, I hate this. That happens. Like depending on how I feel. A lot of enjoyment for most of it. I just think it's just fun. I try to just make it generally as fun as I can, and just just try and enjoy it, make it as less of a slog as possible. So like if there's potholes and things like that in the road, I'll like jump over them and things like that, and just like try and make it fun, run through puddles, make splash. Like generally I just try to keep it as uplifting. But often it's like I quite like the feeling of like overcoming the challenge. So
Yeah.
I'll really like big things up in my head a lot, and be like yeah, this is really difficult, but once you do it, it's going to be like such a great feeling. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes I get back from a really long run and I just like click the watch and be like, yeah, okay, done. But like in the run, I kind of like I quite like that. Like yeah, just push through. Like you can do it. Like sort of things like that. And then sometimes I go completely the other way and I'm extremely horrible to myself and tell myself I'm shit and I can't do it.
Yeah, I find that for me, it's like a meditative experience. It's really, you just kind of, I know that when I have my favorite music in and I'm just in this zone, I'm in this kind of Zen state, and you get all the endorphins rushing through, and it's it's a nice experience. And
it is like moving meditation, isn't it?
Yeah, I always say that the runner's high is far better than any artificial high or any, off drugs or whatnot. So the runner's high is definitely real, and it's fantastic.
Yeah,
So,
100%. It's like, and it's so cool because you're creating it yourself, and you can create it at any time. You just got to put some shoes on and go do it.
Yeah, for sure. And what type of shoes are you wearing?
So I pretty much exclusively use On Running.
Okay.
And they're a Swiss company. And yeah, for me, I've just found that they're the most comfortable trainer I've ever worn. I've got a few different pairs of them. So I've got like specific ones for depending on what I do. So they've got their Cloud Flyer, which are they're quite sturdy, but they're really lightweight. They've got a fair bit of cushioning on them. So I use those for pretty much like all my speed sessions. And then any long runs, they've got the Cloud Stratus, which have got like an extra like layer of cushioning, really nice rock plate in them, which is really good. So they're lovely. I can go forever in those pretty much. No problems, no blisters. I've got a pair of Hokers, the Clifton Sevens.
Yeah.
I quite like them, but the only problem is they give me blisters. Which is a shame. Like they feel really nice, but I just get blisters from every now and then.
I think some of the Under Armour shoes, they actually they have some GPS chip in them or something.
Yeah, the hovers or something. I haven't tried those yet, but they look pretty cool. I think they're probably well worth a try. I want to try as many as possible, but I keep coming back to the On Runnings all the time. Every time I get some money to buy some shoes, I always just gravitate towards those. But I should probably experiment a bit.
What are they called? Sorry, how do I spell
it? So it's just On, O-N, and then Running.
On Running. Okay, I'll check it out.
They use what they call this cloud tech. So like the cushion under the bottom looks really weird. It's like all these little like pods almost.
Okay.
But yeah, they're really nice. They load up really well. Like the cushion is really nice and soft. But they're super responsive. They've got ones called the Cloud Flows, and they're the best shoes I've ever run in my life. I had one pair and I absolutely loved them, and then I changed. I tried some Nikes for a while, and I was like, I should probably go back to those Cloud Flows because I remember liking them, and I bought them, and I just couldn't believe how good they were. They were like so much better than I thought, and I was just like, I just remember the first run out, I just like had the biggest smile on my face. I was like, yeah, these are the best shoes ever.
Wow.
I'm obsessed with those.
What about your breathing technique? Are you through the nose or through the mouth?
Through the nose if I run past a farm. Just because I like the taste in your mouth is a bit horrible. But generally, my idea with breathing is let it do what it wants. I kind of think like lots of people talk about. I remember seeing something the other day about like this revolutionary new breathing technique when you're running, which is you should breathe in for 2 steps and breathe out for 2 steps.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I tried it, and it's 2 steps is way too quick. I started to go into my natural. I'm more like every 4 steps. But my thought of it is that like you never learned to breathe, did you? If you had to learn to breathe, everyone would die instantly. Like, do you know what I mean? Like you're born, and
That's
it's
right.
such a natural thing. So I just think
Yeah.
like leave it to do what it needs to do. That's the thing. I'd rather focus on my form and making sure that like my knees are in line, like I'm 4-foot striking and things like that, rather than worry about my breathing, because I find that sorts itself out.
And speaking of form, so how do you're mindful of how you're stepping and your technique? Can you run me through that process?
Yeah, as much as possible. So I like to. So when I do like the check-ins of like okay, when something changes, like can I run like this all the time? Yeah, I also think about then like, right, okay, like how is my foot placement, things like that. Often like I check the bottom of my shoes to see if I'm wearing one side quicker than the other. So I usually, I've got to remember which way is which. Pronate is when you're on the inside and supinate is the outside. Is that right? Or is it the other way around? Can't remember.
Yeah, that sounds
yeah,
right.
So usually I land a little bit further on the outside of my foot on my left foot, and a little bit further to the inside of my foot on my right foot.
Okay.
So I usually try to just think of that a little bit, and then also my left foot has a sort of like a tendency to the toes to sort of like peel out to the side like that, and if that happens for too long, I get a little bit of knee pain.
Okay.
So I'm always trying to be conscious of that, things like that. A lot of things, other things is like my shoulders, like relaxing them. I often have just let them relax. And little things like that. Make sure I much prefer to. I naturally 4-foot strike, which I quite like, and I find that if I fall into heel striking again, I get a little bit of I feel the jolt through my knees. So as much as I can, I like to sort of make sure I'm 4-foot striking, stay upright, things like that. It's like have you heard about the elasticity effect? Which is
No.
like if you the taller you are when you run, the more elasticity you have in your muscles, which actually help you
Right.
spring off. I'm not
Right.
explaining it super well, and I don't know the super ins and outs of it, but there's some good videos on YouTube about how it works. And actually, if you stay quite tall and relax, you can actually run.
Okay.
And then other things like keeping my head up, because it's really easy to just slump your head when you run and just kind of look down at your feet, and I find that you can get your back can ache and things like that. So just trying to keep my head up and looking forward, keep a smile on my face, things like that. Yeah, as much little things as possible. I like to always try and be quite aware of anything that hurts. I know lots of people can sometimes if something hurts, they go oh, I'll ignore it and it will go away. But I'll often focus on it, and try and see how where it hurts, what type of step, if I supinate, does that make it hurt more or what, and try and figure it out, and see, and then hopefully I can take that into the gym and try and strengthen it up or things like that.
Right. Okay. What type of gym exercises are you doing?
So a lot of lunges, calf raises, heavy squats. Quite like going to keep most lifts quite lightweight, and a lot, not huge amount of reps, but on the higher rep range. So sort of
Right.
12 to 15. And then the only exercise that I take sort of really heavy is I'll take squats and deadlifts, up to I'll sort of do them in the 3 to 5 rep range, and go a little bit heavier with those. And that's kind of mainly it. I try to keep it as quick as possible, really, because it's one of those things. Again, it really does help, but it feels kind of indirect. And again, it's one of those things where it's I have to convince myself to go in the gym, and be yeah, I should do this because I know it's going to help. And then one that my mate told me the other day, he's a physio, and he was saying that especially if you do long distance running, he was saying that actually normal calf raises, when you've got your legs straight, he said they don't help that much because they target the top of your calf. And when you run long distance, because of the body position, because you're not in that leaning forward sprinting position, you're not actually using the top of your calf as much. You're using the bottom of your calf. So he was saying if you sit down with your legs bent, and then actually do your calf raises with your knees bent. It focuses more on the bottom of your calf, and you're saying that'll actually help you for your long distance stuff.
That's a good tip.
Started doing those. Yeah, so that's quite cool. I've only been doing it for a week, so I don't know how much it's helping yet. But
Okay.
yeah, that's a cool one.
Yeah, I guess it's all about kind of optimizing the body, and so you can run more efficiently. That's my understanding of it. Yeah, I guess maybe lifting heavy would be counterintuitive. It's not. Maybe you're putting too much stress on the joints, or you might put on too much muscle, which will slow you down. So
yeah,
but I'm guessing that with this 100-mile tow, you'd need to have some strength though as well. So
yeah, that's my thought behind it. Is that it's all great doing light weights, but like if I've got a tow 2 times my body weight, like at what sort of percentage of hill does that weight really affect me? So at what point do I actually need to have that power in my legs and that leg drive to be able to tow that thing up that hill? So that's kind of the thinking behind the heavy squats. And then also, I just think actually that putting on a bit of muscle, especially in your legs, is not going to do the biggest amount of harm. If I'm doing really heavy bench press and presses and things like that and building up a really big upper body, that is probably going to slow me down. I think if I'm putting on leg muscle, I'm probably actually maybe just coming a bit more resilient. And it's like there's lots of studies to say that actually lifting heavy improves your bone density.
okay.
And that can only be good for running. It's stop things like stress fractures and things like that. So I actually think that improvement in bone density is a plus. So yeah, maybe I'll have big quads, but that's all right. I'll just have to buy bigger jeans.
There you go. All right. And what do you usually wear with when you go out running as well? Do you have like compression shorts or something, or socks or something? Or
no, so not really. I usually just wear quite lightweight, like pretty much just like anything from like Nike or Under Armour, just some like normal running socks, and then just I've found these like super like I can't think what they're called, but they're like chafe free boxers.
okay.
And they've never let me down. And then on top, it's usually like I wear like a skin underneath, so like like almost like a thermal layer, and then just a sort of like a long sleeve running top. Do
you find it gets too hot? Does it get too hot wearing that, or?
Not really, because we're in the winter at the moment here.
Okay.
Well, actually, we've just gone into spring. But yeah, no, don't really get too hot with that. But then as we get into summer, which over here lasts for about 4 days, I'll probably have a short sleeve top for those 4 days, and then it's back into the like the skins. But I don't like running jackets and coats and things like that, because I find you like sweat inside them, and they get a bit sort of like it's almost a bit like humid.
Okay.
And yeah, I really don't like those. So I'd rather, like, even if it's absolutely like pissing it down with rain, I'd rather just go out and get wet. My philosophy on rain is that, like, after a minute, it doesn't get any worse.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you've been in the rain for 10 minutes or 3 hours. It actually doesn't get worse. Yeah. It's just getting out the door that counts.
Yeah. And with I've noticed that with your YouTube account, you've actually got quite a few number of subscribers. So I'm trying to grow my YouTube following at the moment. So I guess, is there any advice or any recommendation that you can?
I think consistency is the thing. I find it really hard with YouTube. Yeah, so I've just hit 1,000 subscribers. Really happy with. I think a lot of it is I got quite lucky with because if you look at my channel from quite a while ago, because my channel's been up for years and basically been doing nothing, but I did some drum videos years ago. But do you remember there was a song called 7 Days by a guy called Lucas Graham? This is years ago.
Okay.
But basically, someone said to me at the time, they said, "Oh, I really like this song. You should do a drum cover of it." And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I did it. And then 2 weeks later, that song went to #1 in the UK. No one had ever heard of it. And my video, just really lucky, just basically it got like 200,000 views. And I got a lot of my early subscribers from that. And then other ones I've done is like I did some shoe reviews, and I bought a pair of shoes and there was no other reviews for it. And I put that review up and that's got like 30,000 views, which is really good. And I think some of it is it's about like having a targeted strategy for things that you want. Because I know that like a lot of my like weekly, I call it like the weekly vlog. I'm not really sure if it's a vlog or like a training diary or what it is. But it's like the way I think of that is it's kind of mainly for me. It's like I had this idea, and I just wanted to document my training so that one day I could kind of look back and be like, oh yeah, that's how I did that, and that was mad, and just keep updating it. But they don't get like loads of views. But then something like the 4x4x48 that got like over 100 views like really quickly. Which is really happy with. And I think it's that consistency and then like finding some really good ideas, and just digging into something that's like really important to you. Like if you stick onto like that one sort of like that like stick in that one lane, I think that can really help. Because I did notice massively that when I changed from doing drum focused videos to fitness focused videos, my subscribers would go up and down like mad. I would sort of like gain 30 subscribers, but also lose 30 subscribers. And that was happening for ages. For the first, like, I think like the first 4 months, I pretty much stayed at the same subscriber level, but I was gaining loads, but losing loads. And I think it was loads of people who were there for drum content were going away, and then new people were finding me for fitness content. So yeah, I think I actually almost like kind of shot myself in the foot a little bit because of that. But I think some of it comes down to luck. Because if you look at some of like the 4x4x48 videos, some of them have got thousands of views, and then some of them have got 10 views.
Yeah, it's really hit and miss, yeah, isn't it? Yeah. I've noticed that. I think I don't know. I'd consider it. Yeah, it's with YouTube. It's like you have to invest in the person who's making that video. Like I know that maybe sometimes people don't like the way that you. I guess this is my opinion, but some people may not like the way that you articulate yourself, and they just switch off. And then other people, for some reason, they have a large following, and it's really hard to understand how it all works. Just the algorithm is very confusing. So.
Yeah, I think it's a mix of algorithm. I think some people hit it off because they've got the personality.
Yeah,
things like it's a strange one, isn't it? But I think as long as you keep doing what you're doing, and I think like the thing is like honesty comes down to it, and I think like if you're genuine about what you do, like the people who find you and like really connect with the content will stay. And I think like I quite like to focus on like the people who are just there, like whether it grows massive or not. I'm not too fussed. Like for me, the main thing about a lot of it about like why I keep pushing content out as much as possible is just to try and get as many donations as possible to the charity. Like I care a lot more about trying to actually raise the charity awareness as much as possible, which I realise I've done a very bad job of so far on this.
What's the charity that you're? What's the charity?
The charity is Cardiac Risk in the Young. But basically, there's in the UK alone, there's 12 people a week who die from completely undiagnosed heart conditions, and they're usually very young, so under the age of 34. So this charity basically starts from a really young age, and they work with schools, and they go in, and at the age of 14, they can test people and find out whether they have these heart conditions, which are usually like really unseen. So lots of people who are really fit. So unfortunately, I lost my sister when I was 11. She was 16, but she was incredibly fit. She played hockey, she played netball, she used to run track, like all the time. Like she did loads of stuff, and she had an undiagnosed heart condition, that we had no idea about,
Jeez.
and there was no way to know. And that's why this charity is so good, because they go in and they test people. So anyone who they think can have it, like the slightest chance, they'll go in and they'll test them and they'll find out. And if they have something, there's things they can do. So they can have things like pacemakers fitted. And the thing is it's like, because like these people can be so young, like haven't even left school. And if they can have a pacemaker for 2 years, and like that can pretty much just like, that could give them an extra 70 years, or like, well, you know, like the longevity of life is just going up, so it might give them an extra 100 years. You don't know. But yeah, they do some amazing stuff, which is great.
Wow. Okay. Well, I might end the show. We have a final segment on the show, which is called rapid fire questions. So I'm just going to shoot out a few questions just to end the show. So, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Android or iOS?
iOS. Easy.
The GOAT of basketball is LeBron or Michael Jordan?
Oh, I've got to say LeBron, because I've seen more of his matches. However, The Last Dance nearly would have tipped it the other way.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
All right, cool. That's it. That's the rapid fire. That's the rapid fire questions. And thanks for jumping on the show, Bob. I really appreciate the sample, the audio sample that you sent me. So
No worries. Thank you very much for having me on. It's been a pleasure, mate.
Thank you. And how can people follow you? How can people donate to your charity?
So you can follow me. I'm pretty much I'm Bob Thomas on YouTube and Bob Thomas Drums everywhere else. So Twitter, Facebook, Instagram is all Bob Thomas Drums. No spaces, nothing else. And then the donation link it's virginmoneygiving.com/the 100-mile drum kit toe. So that's quite a long one. However, if you find me on any socials, basically I've got the links.
You got the links there. Okay.
All my socials, yeah. So every YouTube video, the top link is to it. So, but yeah, if you search Virgin Money /100-mile drum kit toe, and 100 is the numbers, it will pop up. I'm pretty sure if you just Google 100-mile drum kit toe, it might pop up. I don't know if I'm that much of an influencer.
I'm sure you will be. But thanks again, and thanks guys for tuning in.